Good evening, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to our In Memory Night. I'm Joanne Horton, Chair of the Owen Sound Hospital Foundation, and I'll be your MC for this evening. I extend my and the Foundation's deepest thanks that you've chosen to join us to commemorate and celebrate the memory of your loved ones and important friends of the Owen Sound Hospital Foundation. I wish we could be here together, face to face, to share this evening. However, we recognize the challenges of gathering at this moment and have adapted, pivoted, as they say. So this evening we will try something new by live streaming our event rather than putting it off another year. We hope that you enjoy our program today and invite you to use our open chat feature that will be running during the event. After this evening, a recording of the program will be available on our website at www.oshfoundation.ca/in-memory-night. That way you can revisit and share this evening with your family and friends. A few words about our Wall of Remembrance. When in-memory gifts are received of $1,000 or more, that person's name is added to the wall. In 2019, a new wall was designed and installed, and tonight we're delighted to share with you the new Wall of Remembrance, which bears the names of your loved ones. Tonight we will be recognizing the addition of 52 people to the wall for 2019 and 60 people in 2020. The in-memory wall serves as an important tribute to those whose names it bears. The donations raised through the wall support the purchase of new medical equipment, facility improvements, and staff training, all of which help promote healthcare excellence right here in our community. Our physicians and staffs are always looking ahead to technology that will enhance patient care. While we can look ahead and make plans, it's your support that helps to make equipment purchases possible. For that, we extend our heartfelt thanks. Now, I'd like to introduce Gary Sims, President and CEO of Grey Bruce Health Services. Gary, if I could ask you to say a few words.
Thank you, Joanne. On behalf of Grey Bruce Health Services, our board, physicians, nurses, allied professionals, staff, and patients, it's my pleasure to be joining you and sharing in this evening with you as we remember your loved ones. Thank you for thinking of Owen Sound Regional Hospital and for honoring the lives of those you love by making a donation to our services. The hospital plays a vital role in our communities. Your support plays a vital role in our daily operations by ensuring that we have the equipment our physicians and staff need to provide quality of care each and every day right here at home. Thank you again. And now I will hand this back to Joanne. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And I'm now going to hand it off again, this time to Joan Silcock-Smith, Manager of Spiritual Care, who will lead us through a service of remembrance. Joan.
As we gather this evening to remember the lives of those we love and miss, let us celebrate the power of memory to give us hope. Let us pray for the power of memory to help us heal. Let us honor the many gifts we were given by our beloved. Our challenge now is to affirm and celebrate the joy, goodness, and beauty of life. I'm going to share part of a poem written by Jody Seilheimer in memory of her son Corey, called The Garden of Memories. Strolling down your garden path, my heart takes flight. Dedicated in your memory, a breathtaking sight. Blooms of love overflow, delicate petals, aware of the love that is planted with so much loving care. A garden of your life story, your memory held dear. Solace to the weary soul, I draw comfort here. Quieting of the heart, sadness takes a respite. Testimony of love enduring to the senses' pure light. Fragrance drifts gently, nature's sweet sigh. Gentle reminder, you are always nearby. Love from heaven wrapped in loving care speaks softly to my heart, quieter than a prayer. So good evening again, everyone. I'm glad you're able to join us this evening in this memory celebration. I hope you'll find it helpful for your grief journey. As you can see, our evening is based on a garden theme. I, in fact, come from a long line of gardeners. Both my sets of grandparents had large gardens. One was for harvesting for the family and laying away the produce for the winter months, and the other were market gardeners, selling their produce to create an income for themselves. Growing up, we also had a large family garden, and now my spouse and I have one of our own. It's a joy to watch the little seedlings break the soil and soak up the sunshine that comes in the spring and the rains that nurture their roots. It's exciting to watch everything flower and come to fruit, whether those are flowers or vegetables. In thinking about tonight and my own experiences with grief, I've come to realize that grief is very much like a garden too. Here are a few comparisons. First, in the early days, the garden needs daily attention. You have to be sure that it is wet, but not too wet, and of course, not too dry. You have to consider fertilizer and compost to augment the soil. You have to be sure the seedlings are protected, especially if the temperature drops too low. If you've got seedlings in pots, you move them around to get the best advantage of the spring sunshine hours. You and the seedlings are partners in growing. This daily attention is critical to the whole future of the garden. I've found grief to be very much like that too. In the early days, the loss and its effect on who we are and how we experience the world is a daily consuming experience. Everything reminds us of our loved one. We can't ignore the feelings. We need help sometimes just to get through the day. If we don't let others help us, it makes everything just all the more difficult to cope with and manage. We just can't ignore it and expect it to go away. Indeed, just the opposite. It is helpful when others who understand our needs stop in, give us a call, drop something off, or check in on us to ensure we're doing okay. We are a bit like seedlings, fragile to the outside elements. Secondly, as the seedlings grow, we plant them out to their own place in the garden. We start the flower boxes and pots that decorate our yards. We eagerly anticipate the vegetables that come in the cooler weather, like the peas and radishes. And yet there's still much to do. We're still watching the weather every day. And of course, all the weeding. Our growing seeds and plants don't do very well if they get choked out by weeds. Inexperienced gardeners need to learn what weeds look like because they all start out as seedlings too. Sometimes we have to let something grow before we can tell what it is. But if we wait too long, a noxious weed can take hold and then it's much harder to get rid of. Burdock has been our nemesis. When grieving, we need to continue to watch our progress. Some days we feel like we're doing okay, And then the next day, it's like a frost has come over our spirits and we don't feel so good at all. Over a lifetime, and with other experiences of grief, we come to learn what grief looks and feels like, although each one will have its own unique characteristics. If we are new to grieving, it will be hard to know what is a normal grief reaction and what might need a little extra attention or assistance. It's like those weeds. Sometimes things can come along that we don't recognize until the issues have grown too big for us to manage on our own. Seeking help is a smart and healthy thing to do. Reach out if you need to. Thirdly, every garden has different kinds of plants. My grandfather specialized in begonias. My mother loved iris and collected many different kinds. My dad decided to grow elderberries so Mom could make him pie. My favorite are pumpkins. And the grandkids love to come and pick out their very own. Everyone's grief garden looks different too. You can't compare your grief garden with mine, and I can't compare mine with my neighbor's. Our grief experience depends on a number of things. It depends on our life experience and the kinds of grief you've had before. It also depends on the relationship you've had with the loved one who has gone. Just like different plants need different types of soil and sunshine, our grief needs different ways of healing and takes different amounts of time for it to change. Next, as time goes by, perhaps in the summertime, our gardens need a little less attention. The sun and the rain take over for us. We can take a break and not need to worry that we'll come home to a dehydrated garden with limp and complaining plants. The roots are well established and Mother Nature takes care of the sun and water. Of course, we can't ignore the garden completely, or we'll be disappointed, but it does get easier and less work. Grief is like that too. Over time and with healing, our grief demands less of our attention. It's not all consuming and offers us a break to enjoy other things in life that bring us joy. We can't ignore it as it never truly goes away. We just learn to live with it in a new way. Also, it takes time to build a mature garden. Sometimes that's because you've filled it with perennials that come up every year, and maybe it's because you figured out which things grow in certain areas of the garden. Most gardeners I know, though, are always looking for something new. This summer we found a couple of new plants, a zebra juniper and a little sunspot lily. We had to bring them home and find a special place for them. In time, you will find that you have come to a place with your grief that you can accept your life as it is and find joy again in the small and big things. You will be able to find space in your life for new adventures, maybe even new friendships or experiences that you've been avoiding when you were in those early days. Just as a garden matures, your grief will as well. There will be more sunny days than rainy ones, and you'll find yourself smiling more than you have in a while. Lastly, all gardens have a natural life cycle. At this time of year, we begin to think about literally harvesting the fruits of our labors. We gather in the produce for the winter and relish in the freshness of the fall bounty. In my family, I always make my mom's chili sauce with all the tomatoes that we gather. It reminds me of her each year when I do that. And then we begin to look toward the winter months when all gardens must be put to bed. We cut back plants that will winter over. We pull out the ones that won't survive the cold and prepare the ground for next spring when we will start again. We settle into the quiet time of winter in preparation for the next spring, and the new cycle begins. Our grief will have a natural life cycle as well. For each of us, that may be different. As we heal and grow from our grief journey, we will come to a place of quiet where we can see the benefits, the bounties of our relationships, and how we have been enriched by them. In these moments, we can be grateful for the time we had with each of our loved ones, whether that was long or much too short. And as we sit in gratitude, we can prepare our hearts to love more and to give more to those around us. As we tend our grief gardens, I hope and trust that you have companions to help you on this journey, that you have the tools you need to tend your garden well, and that you will notice the blessings that have come to you in the process. May it be so. So we're going to take just a moment for reverence as we remember our loved ones. May there be peace in our hearts and minds as we gather together this evening. May we feel deep reverence and peace for the blossoming of light and life we see in each person, for the gifts that we embody, gifts of the Spirit, and for the love that we nurture from the source of all love. May we feel deep reverence and love as we give thanks for the seedlings of life which have been given to each of us here. May we feel deep reverence and love for the gifts of life we have known in and through our loved ones whom we remember this night, for all they loved and cared for their gifts, their relationships with family and friends, for all the lessons they taught us, for the time they spent with us. We have been blessed to have known and been known by them. May we feel deep reverence for all that is sacred, for the sanctity of human life, the bounty of family and friends, the gifts of home and hearth, and the blessings of life-giving relationships. When we leave this gathering, may we be at peace and feel only deep reverence and love. May it be so.
And now I'd like to introduce the Fortuity Quartet.
I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, I believe. I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why. I believe. I believe.
Our next song is called Friends, and it happens to be one of our favorite songs, whether it's to do with our past friends or our current friends. Hope this helps you through your journey.
Friends, just friends, always friends. To the end, we're friends. Backing up the dreams God planted in the fertile soil of you. Can't believe the hopes He's granted. Means a chapter in your life is through, but we'll keep you close as always. It won't even seem you're gone, 'cause our hearts in big and small ways will keep the love that keeps us strong. And friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends. Oh, and friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long. It's not too long, not too long to live as friends.
Wow, thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. I am now being joined by Amy McKinnon, the CEO of the Owen Sound Hospital Foundation, and back as well is Gary Sims, who are going to join me in the dedication ceremony where we read the names of those we are honoring tonight. Following our gardening theme, Gary and Amy will be placing garden stones in reflection of each life added to our wall of memory. The names for 2019 are Norman Anderson, Vanessa Arthur, Jim Baker, Maureen Bass, Douglas Beckett, Ola Bishop, Oki and Jana Boss, Bill Brown, James Allen Cameron, Ruth Campbell, Sheila Clark, Alan Drury, Douglas Earle, Robert Fenton, Dorothy Fisher, Gladys Galbraith, Ian Goldie, Oliver and Larry Goldsmith, Alvin Gordon, Leona Grigg, Jim Grimbleby, Heather Handy, Bruce and Ethel Innes, Ken Kaufman, Harry Kazarian Jr., Susan Kiddo, Audrey Laporte, Joan Lee, Joyce Long, Charles McDougall, Don McCrow, Gordon Marnock, John McComb, Ross McConaughey, Lloyd and Marie McCullough, Wilson McInnes, Nels McKay, Margie McLeod, Irma McNabb, Grant E. McRae, David Miles, Brendan Nelthrope, Dennis Nickel, Florence Pink, Charlie Robertson, Edwin T. Seidel, Mary E. Smith, Harry Theed, Rita Turcotte, Dean Wardell, Michael Warren, and Gordon Wilkinson. And the names added to our wall of memory for 2020 are Stephen Barker, Stan Barton, Richard Bowes, Dr. Kenneth L. Bridge, Gordon and Noreen Cameron, Lloyd Carmichael, Dr. Larry Carr, Muriel Chisholm, Jim Clazy, Janet Cobbledick, John and Jean Cobine, Shodi Crawford, David Douglas, John and Flora Edwards, Monique Eng, Fern Finlayson, Serge Flynn, Michael S. Duthrow, Judy Govis, Mikito Harada, Mildred and Roy Hogue, Edward Ted Horton, Russell Hunter, Ren Kennedy, Leslie Kenyon, William G. Martin, Ron McCoy, Ron McKechnie, Harold McKibben, Dorothy McLinden, Fred Moore, Bev Murray, Janine Valerie Nesbitt, Patricia Nickel, H. Marie Simon O'Hara, Dan O'Leary, Lillian Pack, Bob Perkins, Ida Pickett, Bruce Radburn, Brad Bogart, Richard Charles Roberts, Paul Barney Robbins, Edward Ted William Rogers, Jack Shildroth, Connie Sims Summers, Roger Smith, Alex Sprung, Mike Spencer, Kenzie Faye Swain, Wendy Jane Tebbett, Robert W. Vining, John Voisin, Evan W. Wade, Jack Walter, Dana Watson, Cindy Weber, Chuck Welton, Douglas Wolf. And things have gone according to plan, and we have the right number of stones, which is magnificent. I consider that personally a blessing, but more formally, I'm going to invite Joan back to end our evening with a blessing.
I do hope and trust this has been an important evening for you and that we've been on a journey. So now as we prepare to depart, we ask for the things which our loved ones cherished to remain in us, and that their love and memory will grow within us and come to blossom and fruit through us. We know that all of us will forever be touched by these deaths, and yet we know the promise of spring follows every winter. Take with you now the gifts of memories, friendship, warmth, and embracing. May loving comfort enfold each of you in this moment and always. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you, Joan, for your wonderful words of spiritual inspiration and comfort this evening, and for being our true gardener in chief. My thanks again to Amy and Gary for their help this evening. And